Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Collingwood Connection, the review episode of Carlton v Collingwood. The Magpies completing a fourth quarter comeback down by 18 points at the final break before winning 13-10-88, defeating Carlton 12-11-83 in front of 78,000 fans. Fossil down there in Patterson Lakes. I'm sure you're a very happy man this week, Foss.
Yes, very happy, William. Yes, if we're going to beat anybody, they're the side that we got to beat. But like you said, we were very lucky. The first three quarters were pretty ordinary, but they got the 4 points. That's the main thing, William. So hopefully we can improve on that and win two or three in a row, and then we're back in the amongst it again. So yeah, no, it was good to get the 4 points, and we'll talk about the quarters later on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that brings us back to a 3-3 ledger. I think it was pretty important. Obviously, if Carlton get the job done, it's 2-5, but it could have also been a draw after the siren fossils. So thankfully, the ball couldn't quite come back enough to the right to go straight through from the young fella there. But we'll take the 4 points, and hopefully that fourth quarter we can take momentum on to the coming weeks. So Anzac Day, obviously a very big game in 7 days' time. So that's going to be absolutely massive. And Essendon aren't playing too bad at the moment. So it's going to be a really interesting battle there. I'll get your first thoughts of the whole contest. Yeah, from the first quarter, as a bit hard to watch at times, all the way through that fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, it was. Well, yeah, they seemed to struggle a bit. They had a lot of the ball, but they just, they get the ball, but they just can't seem to, get it in quickly enough and kick those goals. Like they had plenty of play, but yeah, hopefully they can rectify that next week and get their kicking back up to scratch again, and I'm sure will improve.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, in my first thoughts, I was very frustrated, Fossil, those first three quarters. I was telling my wife that, I haven't seen us this bad in 10 years, and just no connection, nothing was going right. It doesn't help when you're having really bad kicking for goal. I think it was 3-9 at half time. So, we weren't taking our shots when we needed to, like taking advantage, and then we let Carlton get back on top of us. So very, very frustrating. And I had about five players lined up for the Axe next week if they didn't pull off what they did in that fourth quarter. So maybe, paper over the cracks. But anyway, we'll get stuck into it. The first quarter, yeah, didn't get off to a great start with Elliott. Thought it'd be a nice confidence booster to go back from 50 and have a shot. He decided to pass that off, and that turnover went straight down the other end for a Carlton goal. So yeah, really bad signs early, especially, they need to take every opportunity they get up forward. And other than that, Elliott did have a couple of good things in the first quarter. He did set up long. He unfortunately missed the set shot, and then he had a hand in that next play with Angry Anderson, who had a great game. They helped set up McStay to get our oh, sorry, that was our first goal. And then Oscar Steen, he showed throughout the night that hopefully he's going to be a good ruck forward going forward. He took a nice mark and went back and kicked the goals. So just unnecessary for him to hand pass also off to Houston. This is like same point with taking your opportunities. He hand passed to Houston, and didn't have exactly a clear run, and he fluffed it from 50. So, I just think that comes down to confidence, and then it starts to, infect all the players. So at least they did pick up on that later in the game, but to end that quarter, it was a terrible passage of play. They had nearly three contested marks, Carlton. They just took it end to end, and the last thing you want is a goal in red time, and they just let Carlton go bang, bang, bang. Kemp, he had a tough shot. It is a, right foot around the body, but kicks the goal with a minute 30 left in the quarter. And after all that dominance, like last week just looked like an instant replay. We didn't take advantage and only took a 1 point lead. Carlton 2-3-15, Collingwood 2-4-16 after the first quarter.
Yeah, you're spot on there, Will. But the second quarter, William, it was absolutely Scheissenhausen. Mackay was given Frampton
Somehow,
to run around.
somehow worse, Fossil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mackay was looking very dangerous. William, he moved a fair way up the ground to get his kicks and his marks, but he was giving Frampton a run around, and Carlton was looking very dangerous and quick. We just couldn't get our hands on the ball, which makes it hard. And they got their confidence up a little bit, and they kicked 4 goals, 2 that quarter, and we kicked 1 goal, 5. Fair well, we couldn't hit the side of a barn door when we shoot them a goal.
Yeah.
1 goal, 5 was absolutely pathetic, and they put themselves under pressure, William, and I think that's why, like they just had stupid turnovers, and you got to give credit where it's due. They just couldn't get their hands on the ball, and they like I said, they kicked 1-5 for the quarter. And they had plenty of inside 50s, but they just weren't using the ball at all, and it was absolutely shocking, and you just can't afford to do that. Against good sides, we would have got blown out of the water. So we're lucky to be as close as we were at half time. So it was 6-5 41 to 3-9 27. So the kicking boots weren't on at all, Will. Very disappointing second quarter.
Yeah, it makes it very tough and, like I said, very infectious. The players just seem to get in this mindset, and it's just so cluggy. Like we don't look like any, pretty much polar opposites to what we see in the fourth quarter. They finally clicked into gear, and it's probably part to do with Carlton. They haven't been able to hold leads and run out of fourth quarter this year, and us, we've been in really patchy form, but just no flow. And if we play slow football, we're never going to win enough games to make the top 10, let alone do any damage. And I hope we're not falling into that trap of winning the games we're, expected to win. I mean, St Kilda wasn't a bad win, and they took care of the Giants, even though they had their injuries. But, struggling, like you said, against the Blues and, with some firmer, well, much, much harder competition to come, it's going to be hard. So the boys got to start, clicking into gear and getting their motions. But anyway, I'll go to the third quarter. That first 4 minutes, I reckon Carlton could have put the game to bed. They had 6 inside 50s in the first, 4 minutes, and 5 shots for 1 goal, 3. Another one went out of bounds, so they could have they could have been 40 points up at that point, the Blues, and probably look back on it as a missed opportunity. Harry Mackay, before he got concussed, he didn't have his kicking boots on with 1 goal, 4, so he could have really had a bit of a night out against Frampton, even though Frampton's been pretty good for us recently. It was some of the ugliest football. I think people were saying the VFL boys are giving a run for their money the way they were playing for both teams, that is. A good games of keepings off before Membry got an opportunist goal, so that got us back within 11. And then there was a big contest in the centre of the ground that I was pretty disappointed with, because Quaynar, he's always really solid. He shuts down some dangerous forwards, but he just pushed the Carlton player in the back, and they were really struggling to get the ball at the time over centre, but he just 2 hands shoved him straight in the back, and Carlton played on, took the ball down forward, and it led to a McGovern goal and got them back out to 3 goals. So it was just terrible play, and those are the sort of 1%ers that help you win games. We did respond with McStay, a nice big kick from 50. He's been good, McStay. You have to give him his dues, even though he's had a couple of brain phase, but another 2 goals to him. And, he's just playing his role for what we need. So as bad as the forward line's been, we can't really throw anything at McStay. He's doing what we ask of him. And, had that three-quarter time break. Yeah, we were really just holding on in the end. And, like Perryman, he had a great game too. He dived on the ball, 35 meters out right in front of the goal, and everyone knows you got to knock it out. So just little things that, silly mistakes. And I know it's probably the pressure building up, but you just can't afford it. And that's what made Carlton take a 3 goal lead, 45 to 63, heading into that fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, you summed it up well, yeah. But we come to the last quarter, Will, and it was probably, that's what we'd like to see. We kicked 7 goals, 1 to 3 goals, 2, and it just shows, Will, if you can clear the ball out the centre on the back of the little magic man, it just made things happen and brought everybody into the game, and to kick 7 goals, 1. We kicked, 6-9 in the first 3 quarters, and kicked 7-1. Well, that's what we'd like to see. But I thought too, William,
Yeah.
and they cut through the centre a lot more instead of going down the line and the contest getting killed. They seemed to move the ball, and they came down the middle of the ground, and that gave them options. They could go left or right, or if there was a key forward there, they could put it up there and put it into a dangerous spot. And they just went bang, 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 bang. And the small forwards, which have been down, probably the first 4 weeks or so, they started to get into the game, and they had a good spread. I think we had 8 goal kickers, so it was a good even spread. And Elliot finally started to hit the scoreboard, which is really good because he's been one that's been pretty much out of form. But I think too. Like you said with McStay, like he is a target, but he's up the ground a lot, Will. And I think with Steen dropping back into the goal square, it sort of gives us a target, and he's a good strong mark. And congratulations to the young kid. He kicked a couple of goals. It just gives him a target, which I think we really need as a key power marking forward, stay at home type, and let Memory McStay and these sort of guys with a bit more mobility probably move up the ground. But and it seemed to all gel. But like you said, that Daicos, mate, he's just unbelievable. He just they all sort of rode on his back, but they got their confidence up. But I think, like they could see, they get the ball in quickly with him, and it just makes it so much easier for the forwards. If the big fellas aren't marking, we've got our little crummers around the ground, and it was a great last quarter to kick 7 goals. One, I think that's the highest score we've kicked for a while, but was very pleasing in the end. It could have been a draw, so we're a little bit lucky, but we got the 4 points, and that's the main thing. And I think Fly would be pretty happy with their last quarter effort. So hopefully, instead of going down the line, well, we can cut through the middle, get it down there quickly, and give our forwards a chance, and we can start kicking some winning scores. So very pleased with the last quarter. We were very happy.
Yeah, exactly. I think all fans were, and you just saw that shift in the crowd as well, didn't you? They just that first goal by Nick. I don't think they've spoken enough about Nick this week. No, he's an absolute gem, and we love him, and he showed every reason why. He just absolutely took that game by the scruff of the neck. I think it was at one point those centre clearances, so we end up winning them in the end, 13-11. I think they said at one point we had six in a row, and it's just like you said, the difference just to give your forwards that supply and put the opposition under the pump. Yeah, we were aided by a 6-6-6 rule that Carlton they got the warning and then stuffed up again. I think that was young Hollands that made the mistake the second time. So then that gave Steen, the free kick, and we went forward and kicked another goal. So it just puts them under the pump, and they're just absolutely momentum shifters. And like I said, that Nick Daicos, he's not a bad little player. In total, 39 touches, 8 clearances. In the last quarter alone, it was at 13 disposals and a goal and 2 goal assists. So he absolutely took the game away from the Blues, and he's an absolute match winner. So we'll see on Brownlow night if the umpires will award him. I'm sure they will for that performance. And yeah, no, he's absolutely incredible. And it was nice for the guys to finally show us a bit of the football we know they can play. And Fly did say that that's sort of what we're building towards, and a bit more like us. He said that last week, and it took 3 quarters to warm up, but they got there in the end, Fossils. So we'll take it. We'll take the 4 points, and hopefully some momentum going on to next week.
Yeah, I think you're right there too. Well, and I think too, William, too, while we're doing all the attacking, it allows the back line to set up, and they get a bit of a spell, so they can keep the ball in there. They seem to be set up pretty well behind the ball. But if we're getting it out there and getting it down there quickly, so the back line aren't under pressure all the time, it gives them a little spell and gives them a chance to set up. And I think that's why we that contributed to kicking the 7 goals. But I just like the way we got it out quickly, Will, and straight down the middle. No mucking around. And like you said, it made it easier for the forwards. But all in all, no, very good last quarter. So hopefully they can continue on that the next week.
Exactly. And we usually do the positives first and then the negatives, Fossil, but I want to get your negatives out of the way because it seemed the way the game went, first, second, and third quarter, and then I'll get to the positives after that. So
Mm.
the negatives this week.
Yeah, well, I had about 20 of them at 3/4 time, Will, but
That's fair enough.
about three-quarter
Can't
time. But I've
argue
got it down
about
to one.
that.
I think what we need, though, Will, they really need to look at it. I don't know what they're going to do with Steen, but probably him and Cameron Ruck. But we nearly need a key power forward. We need somebody there that can mark the ball, or if they can't mark the ball, knock it down. Because, like I said, Memory McStay get up the ground a fair bit. So I think we just need a stay-at-home key power forward. So hopefully, with their bank account next year, that'll be a target they'll be looking at. There's Western House, but I don't know how much. I don't think we got Polax in we in the twos or something. You said William, so how they're going, but I think we just need a really tall forward. We've got plenty of little fellas, But I think that's what they'll be looking at, a key forward, power forward for next year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the twos there, they were, I'll touch on them now. I was gonna do that later, but yeah, pretty disappointing. They should have been blown out by more. It was 85 to 54 in the end. Carlton had 30 shots at goal to 19, so really the scoreboard flattered us. And it was Jack Buller up forward. He kicked a couple, but probably the only player that we can really look at is Sam Swaddling. He's had another good game, 27 touches, and yeah, did some nice things. So minus him, Reef McInnes was good too. I know he might need some more game time as well under his belt. And while Darcy Moore Fly thinks he won't be available for Anzac Day, so it'll be interesting a call there where they give him another game. Or but 19 touches and 9 marks for Reef McInnes in the VFL, so that was positive. But in terms of the goal scorers and what we really need right now, Fossil, yeah, Buller kicked two, West kicked one, Smith kicked one, but just not enough happening to really, give them a spot in the side. And I think with Sidebottom and DeGoey ready to return as of next week, well, Fly reckons that they're both, yeah, well, definitely DeGoey, but Sidebottom's touch and goes. So if they're coming in, then we need to find out who's going out. And Allen probably didn't quite do enough to keep his spot. So yeah, it's probably going to be more a midfield change than a forward line change for next week.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Well, yeah, I think Anderson's done enough to keep his spot, and like you said with Allen, he's easy to get a lot of breaks him up in the twos, but when got blokes like to go inside bottom to come back in, you really got to take your chance. I'm sure the boys trying, but it's just one of those unfortunate things. If they don't do the right thing and play well, they're always going to be on the chopping block, I suppose. But yeah, it's a shame. It'd be good to see him get 3 or 4 games, but when you got to go in side bottom and these sort of players coming back, it makes it very hard for the selectors. So yeah, I think he might get a spell and maybe to go, he come back could be the change.
Yeah, I'll get into those positives then before we move on to pat on the back and our votes. So one, beating Carlton after the siren. I don't think that'll ever get old, Fossil. We had the same experience a couple of years ago where McGovern missed a shot from 50 and we won by 3 points. And this time they missed to draw the game, not even win it. So, and credit to Scott Pendlebury. We know he's in all class, but he got over there and gave the young fella a pat on the back and said, "Chin up, mate. You'll get your opportunities if you keep going for it." So well done there. Nick Daicos tearing Carlton apart in his 100th game. I don't think he could have done any more, especially in that fourth quarter. He's an absolute freak. And God, we just should lap up every second we have him in the black and white for hopefully another 10 plus years. Angry Anderson, like you said, is showing us exactly why he belongs at the top level. He few hard ball gets and taking the game on, and that huge contest in the middle where he that led to Daicos winning the 2v1 where he sort of nudged the Carlton bloke into his footy smarts is off the charts, Fossil. He just nudged him forward, just knew they're going to collide. The ball is Bill. He picks it up. He hits Elliott on the lead, and Elliott goes back and does a clutch kick from the boundary line that we've seen many times before. So awesome play there. And lastly, young Oscar Steen, the ruck forward, basically Cox's replacement that we've been looking for. Only going to get better with more games under his belt. And if the opposition let him run and jump at the footy, he's going to be clunking them all over the park. And I know you're pretty buoyant about his future. As maybe our forward line struggles, he might be the medicine to fix that, Fossil.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, like depending who we're playing, and if Cameron takes the ruck duties, he can go down forward, and he could probably ruck down the forward. If he does stay down in the forward line at full forward, and Cameron can stay kick behind the ball and help the backman out. But yeah, no, I'm very happy with him, mate. I'll tell you what, he's got a good leap and he's got a good pair of hands too. He marks that ball. Well, it ain't going anywhere, and that's what we need. So maybe down the track, we might get a couple more ruckmen come through and he might end up being a power forward. He's a big boy. He's a good mark. And like I said, he can ruck in the forward line, put Cameron back behind the ball. And it's just another alternative to goal. But, yeah, very pleased with him. And like you said, I think he'll only get better, Will. They're learning all the time. I think it was Anderson too with the guys around in the midfield, Pendles and those sort of blokes. He'll learn so much being on the ground. So, they're probably the two big pluses so far.
Yeah, well, I'll put that down as your pat on the back. Sorry, I know you were going to mention him, but that can be your pat on the back, and I'm going to give Will Hayes a pat on the back for the first three quarters. It looked much like last week where he was struggling, but he ended up getting that goal. I think that tied us up in the first 3 minutes of the fourth quarter. So he got that goal and then helped set up Membry's goal after that. So I hope they keep him in. It'll just help him build his confidence a bit, and he looks like he's getting there the more he plays. And when the footy's moving quickly, that's when he's at his best. We know he's got some pace, and with the likes of Bobby Hill out and Harvey Harrison, I think we need him to fill that spot up forward for us just in the meantime. And he's only going to get better with more experience as well. So, yeah, good work there by young Hayes. And we'll get on to the Collingwood CC Player of the Year votes. Fossil, we'll start off with you. You're one, two, three for this week.
Very hard, William. Very hard. This one's, mate. Well, I gave one vote to Dan Newson. He had 25 disposals and 12 marks. I thought he played a really good game. I gave two to Perryman. He had 29 disposals and 11 marks, which is a good afternoon's work. I just like the way he goes about it. He's not flash William, but he just gets out there and does the job. A very good player, and everybody loves him. So, yeah, I gave him two and three. Well, Daicos just got him. He only had 39 disposals, 24 handballs, 6 marks, and you count the assists. So he's just unbelievable. We're just so lucky that we've got a guy like that. We can go and watch him play every week. He's just an absolute cracker, that one. So 3, 2, and 1. Daicos, Perryman, Houston.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can keep him in this state, Fossil, playing for the Magpies. That'd be nice in a couple of years' time. I'm very similar, so my three votes, yeah, went to Daicos as well. If the umpires don't see that, then there's something wrong with the system. And Perryman as well with the two. That one-handed mark he took at the start of the fourth quarter was absolutely incredible. He had no right to take it with the way the ball was coming in, and just got his player out of the way and clunked it with the right arm. So that was absolutely awesome. And my one vote, though, a bit different to you, went to Darcy Cameron. And his stats don't necessarily jump out. 18 disposals, still good for a ruckman, 6 marks, 5 tackles, and 20 hitouts. But he's playing a position this year that's a lot different to what he's used to. And the new ruck rules have obviously impacted his game. But bringing on Oscar Steen and trying to get him into the fold, I think he's doing an awesome job, Cameron. And he's playing an awkward position where you've got to play everywhere in defence and go forward. He had that snap in the fourth quarter that led to the Daicos goal. So he's getting all over the ground, and I think he's still holding his own. So one vote there to DC, and I think that combination of Steen and Cameron is, they're showing it works really well. Our season leaderboard, that little man Daicos, he's had a week off, but he's still smashing them in the votes. He's on 22. Houston's still second on 13 with that one vote with you, Fossil, and Maynard rounds out the top three with 8 because we've got a pretty even spread under that. And last, guys, for this week, the game day prediction result. It's now up to $40 voucher, Fossil, for Anzac Day. Huge game next week. Nick Daicos and Frampton combined for 53 disposals, and McStay, Elliott, and Nick himself combined for 6 goals. Three people, Fossil, they picked. They got the goal margin right, but they picked 52 disposals, so they were one short of getting that $30 voucher. So a bit
It's
unlucky.
not a bad effort. Yeah, very unlucky. I'll tell you what, it's not easy, but no, well done. But it's good to see they're all having a crack. That's the main thing.
Yeah, so close but no cigar, and you can blame Frampton, guys. He just should have had one less disposal for you, and it is first in best dress. So even though there's three of them, the first person that gets in will end up with the prize, guys. So now we appreciate you all having a crack, and we want to give this voucher away, Fossil, or it'll keep building each week. So we're actually barracking for you guys to get this done. So fingers crossed for Anzac Day, and I'll have some more. I'll mix up the players a bit. It keeps it interesting. So I'll go for a couple of new names next week, I think. And yeah, if you haven't, like and subscribe, guys. Getting back to your comments on Facebook and people messaging in. Love to hear from all of you. And yeah, if you've got any questions or topics to bring up, fire away, and I can pick the Fossil's brain. He's got a bit more experience, 40 odd years watching football. Well, yeah, around 40. Fossil, maybe a little bit less than that, but he's watched a bit of football in his time. So yeah, no, send it through, and keep updated with our Facebook group Flag Pies for the competition coming up next week. It's going to be a massive Anzac Day, and I think we'll get stuck into that maybe Thursday night, Fossil, when the teams come around.
Good idea, Will. No worries. Yeah, no, it'll be an absolute crack. It'll be huge. So hopefully we get nice weather and they should be able to pack that out pretty easy, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And the Fossil, just to finish off, you like to tell the Column Connection and Flag Pies crew that the workplace, how that's going to be like with Essendon this week, and if Collingwood win, what happens, and if Essendon win, what happens usually.
Yeah, if Collingwood win, mate, I'll be in there. And what they do is they all lock themselves in the toilet. There's four of them, sit on each other's knee. As soon as they see the Foster's truck coming in the yard, they bolt with him, and you don't see him till I leave. Yeah, so that's what will probably happen. If
Well,
they
we're
happen to
we're
roll us,
hope
Foster
we're
won't be
hoping
going
that
anywhere near the joint.
yeah, we're hoping that happens. But if they win,
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't hear the end of it either.
Oh, they're bloody hopeless for you. But half of them, because they go bad, they said, I'm not following football this year. And I said, well, what sort of support is that? You got to
Uh,
take the good with the bad, mate. But I tell you what, they're shockers. The old Foss rocks it in the truck, mate, straight to the dunny, lock the door, and they don't come out till I'm gone.
oh, it's pretty hard for them, Fossil. 8,000 days without winning a final, the worst
No,
record in the
well,
AFL. So I'm sure you don't feel sorry for them at all.
not at all, Will. Not at all, Will.
No, fair enough. All right, guys. Until next week, what a win by the Pies. Enjoy. I'll watch a red wine replay tonight, Fossil. I'll enjoy that very much. So go
I know.
Pies, and we'll see you guys next
Go,
week.
guys. See ya. See you,
See you,
Will.
mate. Bye.
Bye.